Today, I want to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. And that subject is there is never a perfect opportunity. A lot of my friends have been plagued with the idea that one day their time will come when they're ready and there'll be a great time for them to start whatever they think is going to make them successful, whatever they think is going to make them happy, whatever they think, anything. They're waiting for the perfect time to do something they think is important. And what I want to tell myself back then and my friends is that's never, ever going to happen. There is rarely ever going to be a time where the stars align and you're going to be in the perfect situation to do something risky. That's never, ever going to be the case. When I first started my first business, which was sneaker reselling, I was in college. I didn't have any type of income source at the time. I wasn't necessarily wealthy. My parents didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have much of anything to be trying to spend on sneakers to sell to other people. But I wanted just to find a way to try to make a little bit of money. At the time, I had stopped playing basketball recently in college, so I needed to figure out a new direction that I wanted to take things. And the way I decided that was I wanted to try business because I've heard that business gives you the best work-life balance, and typically business is the most fulfilling career path. Now that I've done business for a long time, I can agree, but it's not because of all the money you get or anything in particular. It's really because of the fulfillment you get from progress and the adversity you have to face. So when my friends would always tell me, oh, I need to wait, I need to do this, I need to do that before I can do this, I don't think that's real. I think it's BS. When I first started my first business, I asked every single one of my friends who were trustworthy enough, hey, I want to start selling sneakers and I only have a certain amount of money. If we put our money together and we can try to grow together, do you want to do this so we can do deals together? We can get other people to, and we can work while the other one's not working. We can build a brand. Every single one of them had an excuse. Every single one of them was saying, oh, I can't, I'm just really busy with school, college has been a lot for me, or, oh, I just got a girlfriend, we want to go on date nights on the weekends, and just literally anything. Or, oh, I dog sit during the summer. And I didn't necessarily look down upon them. I was just really disappointed because I didn't understand how people could think that there's another time better than right now. And unfortunately for most of those people, they now have realized that, oh man, maybe I should have tried something a long time ago, because now a lot of them want to do the things that I am able to do, the life that I'm able to live, and there's no fault against them. It's better to try now than never try at all. But what I'm trying to explain to you is you're never going to be 100% ready for something. Even my first real estate flip, there's no way I was 100% ready. I had a mentor and I had funding, but I didn't have any experience, I didn't have any connections, I didn't have anything. So who am I to try to do a real estate flip when I have essentially no experience and no reason I should be trying something like that? The only reason I did it was because I knew it was a good opportunity, and there's never really going to be a time where it's going to get better than just good, unless I try. That's the only time you'll ever get a perfect opportunity, and that's when you're already doing it and you're just looking for good opportunities. A good opportunity is better than the perfect opportunity, because if you put enough good opportunities together, it doesn't matter how many perfect ones you'll ever receive. You can get a perfect opportunity maybe once or twice a year. You can get at least 50 good opportunities. If someone were to win the lottery tomorrow, like there's a lottery where you can win the $1,000 a week, right? And it sounds so good, it sounds so promising, you'll never have to work again. But think about it. If someone were to get $1,000 a week in a lottery, they'll never have essentially motivation to grow. They'll never have the urge, the anxiety, the fear of failing. They'll never have what you need to grow. So it doesn't matter if they win $1,000 a week for life. I'm always going to beat them because I've never been content with something that I receive. I will also make more than $1,000 a week. And now life is not all about money, but $1,000 a week is not going to get me the life that I necessarily want or need. The life that I want to be able to buy my mother a home. I want to be able to travel freely. And that's what I'm aiming for. $1,000 a week realistically just isn't enough to substantiate that. So the only way to even get close to a perfect opportunity is to try to find a good one, and eventually maybe you'll realize that was the perfect opportunity. That was a good decision. Because you're going to look back on your life and you're going to realize, man, I got opportunities every single day. But the only time you'll ever realize you got an opportunity is when you've learned what an opportunity looks like. There's no such thing as a perfect opportunity. Let's say all the stars aligned for you. Let's say you finally got enough time away from your job. You finally start making enough money and you can start your streaming career. Let's say you want to be a streamer. That's great. That's dandy. But the problem with that is the first time you stream, you're not going to go viral because you have no idea what you're doing. You're going to take forever setting it up and you're going to take forever learning. So someone who started with the worst camera in the world, with almost no editing software, with no real PC, and just a laptop and a dream is going to be 3 years ahead of you when they inevitably get that money anyway. You're already 3 years behind. It doesn't have to be perfect to start. It just needs to be good enough. Now, I don't subscribe to the belief that the present is everything and this is the only time that matters and the best time to do something was yesterday. That's not necessarily true. There always could be a better time to do something. For example, when I was working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week as a server, I didn't necessarily have time to start a whole new business. I only had time to be able to function and work on my business while I'm at the job. And I realized that at the time I didn't really have time for a relationship either. So there is better times to do something. But I did know that that was still a good time for me to learn and try to make connections that I felt like benefited me and would matter in the future. And to try things now because it doesn't really, I'm not gonna ever have another time period where I'll be this free and this unencumbered by life. I was about 19, 20. I wasn't, the smartest. I wasn't my most financially literate, but I was good enough. I had enough money at the time to keep trying things, to keep learning. When I left school at first, it was a really big decision and I took a lot of time to think about it. I took a lot of, energy and effort, and of course my mom wasn't happy, but I thought that that was a good enough time for me to try to pursue something more in life. And looking back at it now, that was the right mindset and that was the perfect decision. That was the perfect time. Even though nothing felt like it was right, I felt like I was struggling the whole time. I didn't have a whole lot of money. I didn't have a mentor. My first business taught me so much that I can never, ever dream of learning now. If I had to go through that same learning curve I did at 18, 19, now that I have the capital to waste, now that I have things, and now that I have the intelligence and the experience, if I had to learn all those things over again, it would be a nightmare for me because I would lose so much more. I wouldn't learn those hard lessons so early. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't ever find the perfect time. The perfect time exists, but the perfect time will only come after you've found a good enough time and then an opportunity that looks irresistible will present itself. That's the only time you'll get a perfect opportunity, but you need to try first. That's my advice to everyone who's trying to grow, who wants more out of life. You need to try first. There's no such thing as a perfect opportunity, especially before you get the skills to even capitalize on an opportunity that is considered perfect. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect situation. There's no perfect life. There's no perfect anything. Life is hard. And things won't get easier unless you try to make them easier actively every day. Even if you feel like you're struggling and you start it and you really don't have the money for a nice camera, You know, there's a lot of people you can look at. There's a whole lot of people that you can look at as an inspiration that didn't have much growing up. You know, there's a lot of famous athletes that, yes, they're genetically gifted, but then there's people who aren't necessarily genetically gifted. For example, Kai Cenat. He's a very, very good example of someone that you can consider a top level streamer. He is one of the biggest in the world, and you should see the earliest videos he has. They're awful. They're terrible. He was started on Instagram when he was like 6 years old. They look awful. But then he progressed. He tried a little bit more. He earned a little bit more money. He made one right friend. He made another good decision. And eventually now he's one of the biggest in the world. So the time doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. It just needs to be good enough for you to give it a shot. And good enough will take you so much farther than looking and waiting for the perfect time. That's pretty much it. If you like what you saw, subscribe. All right, thanks.